Hi, everyone. So excited to be here, especially with my best friend Kelly, who you've seen over the last year on a regular basis. And
So
I'm
great.
so proud of how Kelly has grown and evolved, has that beautiful show with Christy Howard, The Awesome Journey, on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. And I note that in your calendar if you can. Chat's wide open. We depend on you to keep us relevant and directed. We're focused on LinkedIn strategy, with the keyword being collaboration, which I think is essential, especially when you're on a platform like this with so many wonderful opportunities. So,
Yeah.
Kelly, why don't you bring our audience up to date and what your initial thoughts on collaboration are?
Yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. And yeah, collaboration. That's what LinkedIn is all about. Isn't that what we're here for? I mean, networking is one thing that's connecting and getting numbers, on your profile. But I think true collaboration, who are you looking to do work with? Um, and or just learn from. I think that's a huge component that people forget. It doesn't have to necessarily be someone you work with. I have learned so much over this last year specifically from doing the lives and connecting with people and collaborating. And again, it's not necessarily because we can do business together or create anything, but it's the connections that happen in the background. I just had a fantastic call with someone that Con is connected me with yesterday. And that's part of collaboration because he and I have spoken. He's in a collaboration group with you that I'm also in, but we've spoken personally as well, and we both do connections for each other, and that's part of collaboration, right? Is how can I help you, and maybe ultimately, because I've been hearing this a lot lately, and I love that more people are saying this, is approaching their not just business life, but just life from a heart-centered place. And I think that's an important factor in collaboration because you can't have your own agenda. You've got to be there for the right reasons, giving for the right reasons, and open to learn and listen. I think it's the best way to support yourself, to learn. Um, yeah, I mean, it truly is a beautiful thing. And I think when Jason Gerardo was on with me last week and we spoke about collaboration, it went to a place like life as a collaboration. Who do you want your people to be? You have the opportunity to select who that is. And don't be afraid to try to reach out to someone who you might think is like, oh, that person's never going to want to talk to me. How do you know? You haven't asked. um, and there are so many opportunities with collaborations in different communities and groups. I mean, there's so many things you can do on LinkedIn, but what's your purpose of being here if it isn't to collaborate or to, expand your knowledge, your network? There's got to be a reason. So I can't imagine what another reason would be if not at the core to do some form of collaboration and connection with other folks. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think you bring so many wonderful thoughts and ideas to the table. And, it allows you to do things in a comfortable level, right? So you can collaborate in just learning from each other. You can collaborate by getting to know each other. And by getting to know each other, you can decide, hey, it's just like, what's your favorite dessert? Well, if they're brownies or chocolate chip cookies, you make a note of it, right? And when the opportunity comes up, it's like, I can match up with what your interest is, just like you mentioned, Con, with knowing somebody. The ultimate status, I think, on LinkedIn is to be that master connector
Mhm.
where you can say, oh, I've got a person for Con or Harvey. Harvey knows a person for me. And, it's that unselfishness that doesn't always create, well, what am I going to get for it? Or, hey, this is worth a lot. Why should I give it away? And, that separates the self indulgent, the inaccessible people to a deeper level. And that's
Mhm.
great because you get to understand what it is, who it is, and you say, well, it doesn't quite match up. And you get to go first before you bring somebody else into it. So, If I say, Kelly, I just met somebody who you should talk to, and not,
Yeah.
people usually say, here's somebody you should do something with, and that's too presumptive. When you say, here's somebody, why don't you get to know them, what might work out? But if anything, you're not going in with stress or pressure or figuring out what the end result is before you even got to the beginning of the conversation. And then people get to know you on how you know and get to know other people, because how friendly you are, how happy you are, how positive you are. That's who people want to be around. And that can lift your spirits, that can lift your attitude. And then you can go back into the workplace or whatever and shine like that. And I know that's a big element of your closing statement, is why not use this platform to radiate goodness, values, principles, because it is knowing, trusting, and liking. But the nice thing I've seen is you get to do that prior to engaging. Typically in traditional or physical situations, well, I think they're a good person, I think there could be some value, but and then you jump in, you say, whoa, this isn't what I want. And all of a sudden you've just spent time, you now have built possible intention, and you say, no, it's not like that. So there's something to sampling. There's something to saying, hey, let's have a call, and maybe something good will come from it. If nothing else, me as a person talking with you than some superficial profile with some self promotional method to it. And it's not to impress people, it's to support people. And Bob Berg, I always bring his name up with his Go Giver and his philosophy: the more you give, the more you get, and the more often you give, the more you get. So a lot of people have been conditioned, well, I'm not working for free, that's going to take time. And what you have is a self-limiting philosophy, and you're always going to think small, be small. And the other thing is, too many people compete. There's no reason, because the opportunity is so huge, the ocean is so big that and it's really not yours to decide anyways, just to be in the game. And the other thing is the proof is in the pudding, where you go back and see where you've evolved, how much better you've been over time. And it's not all the credit to yourself. I've got so much of Kelly and Christy and Harvey in me, because everybody has said something or done something, and I would say, hey, that's pretty cool, I should integrate that into what I'm doing. And that's where collaboration groups come in, where now you accelerate the knowledge share. Because when we get together, whether it's Harvey or Dave, and there's something to family. Once you can build a family, everybody's there for each other and everybody benefits from each other. So the first comment to come through is Dennis.
I know, I was worried there for a minute. I was like, oh man, is LinkedIn still not working?
Well, I've done my best to generate some activity today. I wanted to connect, and finally did, to get more. For sure, maybe Dennis is identifying that some people aren't able to connect or whatever. And I think what it teaches you is you got to just do what you can do the best you can, and whatever else happens that you have no control over, you just work through and learn from. So how have you seen yourself, and especially in relates to live streaming and LinkedIn, change over the last year or so?
Ooh, immensely. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that it's been over a year. You and I were just talking before we went live, of like, how is it the end of March? Like, this is crazy how fast time is going. Uh, but having a conversation yesterday with the connection that Con gave me, which was incredible. And one of the things that comes up in a lot of conversations that I have with people, because I will end up, during, a series of calls, with a call, whatever it is, what is it that you're looking for? How can I help you? Like, what is that? Like, how can I help you? But also knowing that people want to do things, and they'll be like, "Oh, my business, I'm struggling with this, and I need to do this. I want you to help me with my strategy. I'm struggling." And I'm just using this as an example. The point being is it's not about just getting the information. Collaboration isn't about finding someone who's going to do the work you don't want to do necessarily. You still have to participate in the heavy lifting to make things happen. Um, and in the lane of live streaming, um, because I was thinking this, I'm getting ready to move and I have so many things going on. So I was getting ready because my mom's coming over to help me pack in a little while. Um, but a year ago, if I would have been 2 minutes before having to log in and was still doing stuff and wasn't prepared, I would have freaked out. But now it's just like, well, all you need to do is show up and be yourself. And the important part of when you're talking about LinkedIn profiles, that gives you a sense of who the people are, right? When we see someone that's live, we feel who they are over time. You can't fake that. You can try briefly, but I promise you, it never works. Um, and then even to go a step farther with what you were saying about competition, the only competition that we have is what happens up here, right? I mean, if you're doing something that someone else is doing, hey, I do a lot of stuff on mental health with veterans and first responders. Does that mean I don't want anyone else to do that? Heck no. I think it's an incredible area that more people need to be involved in. Um, but understanding that, but also if there is someone that's doing something that you like, and you're like, oh, I want to be doing that, and learn from them, reach out to them, ask them. That's been part of a lot of calls that I do. Hey, I'm thinking about doing something on this topic. How would I go about it? And a very common thing that does come up, and my call yesterday was with Ben Baker, so I should give him a shout out. He's incredible, doing amazing things to help veterans, which I adore. Um, but his thing was, you know what? We've tried things and it hasn't worked, and we just keep pivoting. But they launched. And I'm a huge proponent of that, particularly with live streaming and anything else. And that's where collaboration groups come in so handy, is to be able to say, y'all, I have been so struggling. How come are your LinkedIn comments not working today? I mean, how many times have we all done that? But just reach out to those people and you will be honestly shocked at how many will be like, oh, I'm happy to jump on a call and walk through some things to help you. You know, Don says this all the time. And I know there's people that are trying to start lives. Reach out and ask. Get part of a group and make it happen faster. And then one more thing before I throw it back over is a lot of people will say, "Hey, I can figure it out myself. I can get on YouTube. I can do all." Yep, you probably can, but how much time is that going to take you?
Hmm.
And this is where I personally love me a collaboration group, or getting on a call, doing something to start a process, because it speeds up the process. Your time is money. Doesn't matter that you're not spending it, but you're putting off the part where you could eventually monetize. So yeah, you figured it out and it took you 3 months, but you probably could have done that in, like, I don't know, 4 weeks. Why wouldn't you do that so you could start monetizing quicker? Whatever the situation is, because I think people forget that a lot. Your time is money. And there's nothing I dislike, honestly, more. I love figuring things out, but wasting my time on something that I don't wanna do or I don't like, or things I'm not strong at. Like, I know what I'm not good at. Don't ask me to start your YouTube, uh, or your podcast on YouTube. Not my jam. Could I figure it out? Yes, but I would get on, ooh, excuse me, I would get on LinkedIn and I would reach out to the people that I see doing it and being like, hey, can you help, or can you recommend somebody that can help me out? Because I don't want to spend the time figuring it out. I mean, that is the beauty of, I think, collaboration, is it just helps you do things quicker, and knowing that these people have already, it's tried and true. Hey, we've already gone through the pains, and so we know what to watch out for, what to do when this happens. Because no platform is going to tell you, hey, guess what? On an occasion, LinkedIn uh, comments don't work, and they never explain why. But it happens. It's a quirk, and people could freak out over that, as an example. And I have seen people that do. They're like, nobody commented on my show when I was on for 45 minutes. And it's like, nope, there was definitely a LinkedIn thing with that platform today because I saw everybody else not having comments. And now I just see the longest comment ever coming in.
No. It got my eye.
Yes.
So you make so many quality points, and not because they're just good points, because I know you've lived it. I know you experienced it. I know you paid a price for it, and so have I. And the challenge to a great opportunity is there's just too much to choose from.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like going to a buffet and there's no way you can taste everything, but everything looks good. And on LinkedIn, you could say, well, I want to get into newsletters. Well, that's a major initiative and investment of time and learning. I want to get into polling. I want to get into live streaming. And Kelly makes such a good point. When you look at the time you spend versus the money you invest in yourself to learn,
Yeah.
right? You couldn't just say, I want to be a doctor and I'll figure it out as I go. I definitely wouldn't want to be a patient while you're trying to learn on the job. And the same thing with live streaming. And that's actually what I just created was the 8-week LinkedIn Live Success Program, right?
Yeah.
Because I decided, why not just focus on what you know, what you do well, what you can transfer to someone else? Because some people don't stop at the floor they should. Some people say, well, I want to do this. Once I do this, I'm going to do this. And all you do is climb. And at the end of the day, you just went up, but you didn't bring anybody with you. And, if it wasn't for Kelly and Harvey, and I honestly, I think there's probably at least 100 people that have been on this show.
Oh, at least.
At least. I mean, because there's been like 700 shows, but you start to learn, where is the future?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's so many people I say, yeah, I mean, I don't want to name them, but they're happy where they're at for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they're never going to get any bigger or stronger or smarter in new experiences. They may be really strong in their niche, and that's great for them. And, you got to go to work with the people who show they want to work. And, by identifying people who actually want to do what you're doing with you. And then there's the benefit of living vicariously through others. Like this week, Carl Dakin's been in Belize all week. And he's an adjunct professor at Denver University, and Colorado State University took a group of, I think, 30 students to Belize to compare the real estate industry there with the one in Denver. And yeah, it's fascinating. And I'm so excited for him because when he comes back, he'll have a whole new perspective.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be able to share it. I know Harvey, that we both are so proud of to be participating with, just launched his second show. And that's focused on franchisees, where the first show is franchisors. And it just makes sense if you're in franchising and you build a quality location, you want to get a second Burger King or a Wendy's, right? And that's really cool. And you just see people change because of maybe their limited vision when they started, to now know, hey, if it's going to be, it's up to me. The opportunity works for the people who work it. And the other thing is, no one should or want to be alone on a social platform. Right?
Kind of goes against the whole purpose of it.
Yeah, there's closets and private rooms you could lock yourself into and be all of you with you. And some people will choose to do that. And, I think the other thing I learned is judgment is something you should definitely reserve.
Judgment is all about you, right? I mean, it has nothing to do with the person that you're judging. It's about you. You're seeing something in someone else that either is triggering you or scares you. I mean, there's something about it. It has nothing to do with that person. So you need to self-reflect when that happens. And that's a challenge we actually have talked about. Well, I've talked about here before, because I'm not a New Year's resolution person, because I believe if you need to change something in your life, change it. Don't wait for a date. And I think it was Brene Brown I guess one of these days I should look it up and be sure that I'm giving credit to the right person. But I think she did a 30-day challenge saying, pay attention to how often that you judge because it's so habitual that we don't notice how often we do it. And then in that moment, if you want to go deeper with it, is why am I judging that? Why am I doing it? One, you're going to be totally astonished at how often that we do it because it is a habitual thing and we don't even realize how often we do it. But it's very self-reflective to be like, oh my God, like what is going on with me that I'm ripping other people apart for what they're wearing or whatever the silly situation it is. Because usually we do judge on completely stupid things. I mean, things that don't matter. But again, it's all about you. It has nothing to do with the other person. Just remember that.
Well, and especially if you're in front of a quality audience, it's not what you say, it's what you represent and reflect. I'll give you a quick example. Ford Sykes, who's been really great on the show, been here a few times, they actually coming back Monday. And I paired him with Khan one day because Khan is, supporting and promoting his new book about employee engagement.
Yeah, super
And,
great.
Khan spent, I'd say, 75% of his time promoting Khan, promoting his book. He has 7 books of his own. He gets 25K plus a speaking engagement, but he understood that it was Khan's time. It was Khan's new second book. And Khan, what? And he even showed Khan, I just bought your book and here it is, and everything else. And he looked so good to the audience by how good he treated Khan, as opposed to, and let me tell you about me, and let me tell you about what I'm doing, and let me tell you about that stuff. And then
Yeah.
a strong person should be a supportive person, not a, hey, you got a flaw there. Oh,
Right.
and that's why a lot of shows.
Right. Confidence and having your own, you're in check with yourself. You don't need because I have found this, and this is my experience. I'm never saying that anyone has to be exactly like me by any means. But usually when someone else is being all about them, hey, look how great I am. Look what I've done. Look at me. It cost this much for me to do that. And I've spent this much time. Me. Um, there's a lot of insecurity going on behind that. And I feel
Mhm.
like that is such a great thing. And one of the best transitions in my professional career was to understand that because I worked with some people that were a freaking nightmare. Um, but then understanding, hey, the reason that they're lashing out and that they're like that and they're so condescending to you, it's about them. It has nothing to do with you. It's about their own personal insecurities and their hurts, they're projecting. And that is the same way on LinkedIn. I mean, let's be real. And we recently had a guest on the Awesome Journey. Shout out to Gabriella Burst. Um, she had made a post and someone came at her like very inappropriately, and they're an influencer to boot, which I'm like, I don't really influencer. Are you good at what you do? And this just proves the whole theory because he ended up saying some very derogatory things to her and she ended up blocking him. But the whole point was, girl, it was about him. It had nothing to do with you. Um, but you show your true colors like that, and like, why do you want to spend time on this, particularly this platform? Because I will say I don't see it very often, on an occasion, but not like other platforms, which I think is great. Um, but another little just a takeaway: when other people are lashing out at you or doing something else, or if you are, it is about the person. It has nothing to do with the recipient of the criticism or what have you. Because encouragement and wanting to see other people shine is like such a beautiful thing. Like, why don't you want to see other people succeed? And if you're struggling with that, I do recommend you need to take a little bit of self reflection because something's going on with you. Because why are you intimidated with someone else? But that is a part of social media that we've always said that's a struggle for most because it allows us to have so much regular self comparison. How come this person is doing this, and they've succeeded so much more than I have, and I've been trying to do that for years and I still haven't done it. You don't know what they've gone through to get to where they are. Um, so you can't self compare, and it's difficult though on social media. I do think that's one of the things that a lot of people definitely struggle with. is, seeing others seemingly soar. And I will say that, do remember sometimes you're not always hearing the full story, which is, I'm not a huge fan of Facebook for that reason. I'm like, y'all, it's not reality. People are only showing you the best version of themselves. There's few people that will share the realness, but generally it's all how my life is perfect, everything's great. Look, there's roses that grow around my breakfast table. And you can sit there and just be like, that's not what my life is like. That's not what their life is like either. It may be in that moment, but it's a snapshot. It's not reality. Um, so yeah, I digressed a little bit on that, but just
Wow, you're always so profound in some of your insights, and sometimes the opposite is really where the value is. So the strongest people tend to be more humble, practice more humility, appreciate, yeah, there's a flaw or a weakness there, but that's something to be worked on, not to be criticized. Because if you're sincerely concerned about someone's success or happiness, the last thing you want to do is, oh, you're missing something there. You're missing, well, sure, I'm just starting out,
yeah.
right? Just pick up a golf club for the first time and see what your score is going to be. And what you'd want is a supportive group to say, hey, let's just have some sunshine, get some exercise, hit the ball around. It doesn't matter what the score is. And maybe sometimes you don't even bother keeping score, right? Because, and the other element is, how do people prioritize things? If it is about things, it's not about what I'm into, right? I've been around people and seen situations, wow, huge mansions and cars. But I met a person that was so proud, they actually lived in like a compound. And when I got to talk to the person, they just had gone through 3 divorces, all their kids in some recovery program of some sort. And they forgot what the reason for life is, was they neglected the balance in their life, the attention they put into getting that extra whatever. Their kids could have used them at their baseball game, and I feel sorry for them because they're not happy. And I think success is, at the end of the day, you put your head on the pillow and say, I'm proud of who I was today. I'm finishing Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he says, if you can just help one person each day, you've done something significant. And it's on LinkedIn, it's not hard because, let me just go to Dennis a couple times and back to Linda. Time does fly when we do what we love. Helping others is still so true. Come back, agree, show up, but not off. So valid. Linda, who's such a kind soul, morning. Your words are so true. I do remember my brain fog from medication. Being sick was hard to cope and learn and share for others to heal. But spending time with you has got things working, from nutrition to heal, gave me hope. I'll just finish it myself. But spending time with you has got things working, from nutrition, gave me hope and love, enjoying time with you, all gaining friends and family. And being real was what was needed from some fake people in all media forms. But working with people of all ages who have been in many different roles in life, an example of helping those dealing with mental health and stepping up to help others, bring me such joy since life is happening, and appreciate you both. Another stepping up, but physical therapy, and it goes on. And
oh my gosh, I just want to say, first of all, God bless you. I mean, that was so sweet. I mean, so sweet. But that is the power of LinkedIn. I mean, we would never have met Linda. I mean, because I feel like I know her. Like, it tears me up just, I mean, because I want to give her a hug. So virtual hug to you too. Is you do have the ability to really connect with people if you allow yourself to. Um, get to the realness, get past all of this. I'm going to say what I think people want me to say. And I'm saying that in a sense of not just being on a camera, but if you, even in your posts, like, it needs to come from you. It can't be about what you think people want to hear. Um, and I agree with so much of what you said, Linda. And the whole reason I started doing lives in general was for my own mental health. I was feeling unfulfilled and knew I needed to do something different. I didn't know what. And I'm a person who I've always been when I'm feeling down, I feel driven to do something for others because truly when we give to others, hence Go Giver, give Bob Berg, he came up in a conversation I had yesterday too, um, is that it feeds us back tenfold. I mean, what it does for us is priceless. Because it forces us to be present and be engaged in our own space. Um, so there's another little side note everybody can take away. Do something for yourself with your community. It's free. And I promise you it will make you feel better about things.
Yeah, and we've talked so often, Kelly, about the messages we've received from people on
Yes.
how it made a profound difference in their happiness, some even in just hanging in there one more day and doing the best they can because people care about people that care about them. And there's so many big shots out there. And because of what they've done or where they went to school or what family they came from or whatever, but they come through so shallow because they come through so entitled, but people like Dennis, people like Linda motivate me to keep doing this because I see the value. I'm not just hoping for the value. And you
Right,
make
and
it.
their participation helps others too, because we say that all the time. And this is with a collaboration, so it does all connect because life is a collaboration. This is a collaboration right now. Um, because it's the ripple effect, and Don alluded to earlier, and I'm sure you all have heard me say this. I mean, probably hundreds of times if you've been a regular over the last year plus, is that I end with, go out and shine so bright that others can't help but shine too. That's the ripple effect. Take something that happened that you feel positive about and give it to someone else. Even if it's a smile, doesn't have to be anything significant. I know people who have literally said their life exists because someone smiled at them the day that they were planning to take their life. So don't think that those small things don't matter. They matter on such a large scale. And when we go out, the ripple effect, and we do say this all the time too, if everybody was putting out positivity and love to one another in the world, what a great place it would be. So there's my little side note digression on that one.
Well, and it really takes things to a more important level. We talk about monetization, but there's value that you receive that's so gratifying to your point. And I've got those messages. I was just on the verge of this and I heard a program, and that really does give you the other side of the critical, negative people.
Yeah.
They could push somebody over the edge and not realize it. They could tell somebody, oh, that was a dumb comment. And they didn't know where that person was. And why would you want to even associate with a situation like that? But, it's so important when people are there for each other. Plus, validation is important by what Dennis is saying, Linda's saying. Maybe a new person showed up today. And
Yeah.
they don't know me, they don't know Kelly, but hey, if Linda feels this way, if Dennis feels this way, well, that's added something maybe I should be aware of. We've got a LinkedIn user. I always think it's Carrie when I don't see the person. Dennis comes back with agree if they lash out at you, they need help and we can help them.
Yeah.
Be a better person. That's so true.
Yes.
Agree,
Yes.
you are both so profound. We're all so happy we found you. I don't know. One thing about it, Dennis, your mind is so beautiful with the ability to rhyme, to share.
Oh,
I mean, this is an hour of Dennis's time almost every day here. And, obviously we must be doing something right together because I know when I'm with Kelly, I'm so much happier just because of not being with her, but all the times we've been together, all the times we've grown together and shared together. And it becomes like family and family that you can see without getting on a plane, without renting a car, without getting a hotel room. Beatrice is here. I've seen Beatrice quite a bit lately. Profound shifts, Jericho walls falling. Dennis says agree smiles can go for miles helping others. Now, this is the
Yeah.
positive way. And these are the people one should start networking with, connecting with, right? They show themselves to be generous, thoughtful, kind. And why not? Here's one. Beatrice says, thanks. Uh, and we've got so many people on the show. I just look and, we've had, 15 people at a time, participating. And you know what I encourage, if you're in the audience, just share who you are, where you're from. You don't have to add a comment, but I'd love to recognize you, love to share the
Thanks
audience
with us and other people in the audience. I mean, definitely do that. I've seen, there's so many people that I still stay connected with and check on. I'll be like, I haven't seen you in a while. Just wanted to check in and see if you're okay. Which I think that's an important also takeaway. Y'all, if there's someone that you haven't seen in a while that was an active LinkedIn user, send them a note and just check on them. Hey, I just noticed I haven't seen you in my feed lately. Just wanted to say hi. Because it is those small things too. Don and I are truly blessed, and Christy and I same, for people who reach out to us and send us messages that, most people know you've been watching us for a while. I'm a crier. So, I mean, I've called Don before and been like, oh my gosh, did you see that message? But it makes everything right. Right. And talking about monetization, those are the things that are priceless. And those are the things we'll remember. I'm not going to remember what transaction I finally went like, oh, thank God I'm able to pay my rent this month. Um, but I will remember how someone's message made me feel, or how someone made me feel when I heard them say something, or they got on a Zoom call, because that happens too. And I'm not, tooting my horn by any means, but I had a call with someone else recently that we had to reschedule a couple of times. And when he got on, he said, you know what, I'm going to be totally honest. I'm not myself today, and I really didn't want to be here because I've got some stuff going on, and life is really heavy on me right now. And of course, was like, do you want to reschedule? And he's like, no, we've done it so many times. I just wanted to be transparent. So we talked through the call, did what we needed to do. But at the end of the call, he was like, you know what? I feel so much better. I needed this. And when sometimes, well, not sometimes, just being present with someone and accepting them for who they are. And I heard this morning, and maybe I needed to hear it this morning so I could say it here, is the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is empathy. And just remembering that, you never know what someone else is going through. And that is part of collaboration in life, just in general, is you don't know what's happening behind someone just because they're smiling. And I'm 100% have been this person so many times. I can look like I am on top of the world and life is grand. And inside, I've been dying. So be careful of how you assume how someone else is, because it's free to be kind, and we all need more of that. I'm going to go back to the whole thing of, we are all here for one another, and we put out positivity to everyone else, how great the world would be. So there, I
Well,
digress a little bit.
you make so many wonderful points, and it reminds me of like Dave Snell, who's just one of the nicest
Yes, he is.
quality individuals, and he's so modest at times, totally transparent.
So
He'll say, I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to do that. Well, that's what you are. But you know what? This is a continuum. There is no cutoff point, and now let's take an account or see what the score is, and allows you to be more of who you need to be
yeah,
by how people are towards you. And I always say time will either promote you or expose you. You can't do this for an hour and do it hundreds of times and
right.
play some crazy persona or facade. And if you did, it'd be way too much work for the wrong purpose.
I
You know, and I think you're always happier when you can be comfortable with who you exactly are.
Yeah.
And especially if you have good intentions. Part of the Audible I was reading, one chapter was understand before you try to be understood,
Mhm.
right?
Love that.
And so many people don't take the time. Tell me a little bit about that. Most people are, oh, I got the answer for you. You know,
Right.
before you even understood the issue or the
Already
problem.
calculating their response.
Well, you almost turn everybody off, because even if you do have the answer, you didn't give me a chance,
Right.
right? You know, to explain, to share. You took that opportunity away from me. And I really don't, because of that, your answer doesn't integrate with me. I don't relate to it, because I'd rather have a person say, I don't know the answer, but I'm with you, you know, and I'll be with you. And you've got somebody who cares about you. And so many people don't have anybody, especially if you're in a challenging situation, if you're older, if you're having health issues. You know, that is such a difficult point or position to be in.
Yeah.
And just being able to have an hour of new, quality, healthy information with people who are totally accessible, reaching out. I know every time Beverly ends her part is, I just want everybody to know I've got 15 minutes for anybody, and I can guarantee you there won't be any sales involved. So if you want to talk, I'm here. And I can't name anybody who's in our collaboration group. They'd be honored, you know, to have 15 minutes with you, because they're not an island, right? They want to know, hey, that's so important what you just said. And everybody has a life. Everybody has a story, and everybody's story has value.
Yeah.
And most people, you know, it's just like, look at this. And to some people, it doesn't look like much. And whatever it is, you showed it to me. Who cares what the picture looked like? You know, you shared something important. And the people who can really dig deep, and the people who have been embarrassed or shamed for so long for holding something in, there's such a liberation when they share it with people that they trust in a safe environment, that, boy, now I don't have to worry about it. And I know everybody accepts me and honors me. And in a lot of cases, I was just performing in front of the wrong audience who really wasn't into what I'm doing. And that's the other thing. When you find your tribe, when you find your group, work with them. Don't look for another group. Once you find a home, build something with it. And that's so important. And everything you learn here, you can take everywhere else.
Yeah.
And be more like Kelly, be more like Con or Dave or Harvey, because I'm so fascinated being one of seven, one of 10, instead of 7 of 7 or 10 of 10 myself, because then you can sit in the passenger seat and let someone else drive for a while. You can sit in the back seat and just enjoy the ride, and not have to be the big shot. You know, the definition of a big shot is really a little shot to keep shooting. Because, you know, and people respect that. Hey, this guy or gal, they're not quitting. I don't care what you do to them, they're going to keep moving forward. Their belief system is so strong. And sometimes the joy is just doing, not actually succeeding, because by doing, eventually you'll learn what not to do. You'll learn your perspective. And without proper intention or purpose, nothing comes out right.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I a couple of times I've been thinking this during this conversation, which comes up a lot in a lot of conversations that I have, is knowing your why. Like, what is your why? Why are you doing things? And so many important other things that you just mentioned there, Don, was, you know, finding your tribe. Hey, if you're in a tribe and it's not working, go find another one. I mean, it doesn't have to work. And there are times, and I say this as a coach. I've been executive and leadership coach for years. And I myself work with coaches and have done counseling over the years as well. You can outgrow someone. Like that there's nothing wrong with that. To be like, you know, hey, I've worked with this group, this collaboration, and I've gotten to the level where I needed to be, but now I think I need something extra. Or something additional, or I think I need to go in a different avenue, or I'm at a plateau and I feel I want to scale to the next level, you know, that I didn't think I could do. But your collaboration group can also tell you, yeah, hey, we can still help you, or hey, we can connect you with someone else. Hey, let's contact this person. It's okay to have more people come in or to know, like, hey, this just isn't working for what I want anymore. And that's like relationships in life, right? I think the first time we shed friends, as an example, is in our 20s, after high school, and you're kind of like, man, that person that was in high school is still doing the same stupid stuff. And I'm getting married, and you've moved on, you've outgrown certain people. And and I remember those times being painful, right? Because you're like, "But I really like this person," but you know that they're not good to be around. It's like they're exhausting, and they're just in a totally different place. But it's okay to outgrow someone and to move in a different direction because it's your journey, it's your path, and you get to decide. I mean, that's the beautiful part of it. But the on the other side of why wouldn't you consider a collaboration group or reaching out to people, particularly on a social media platform that is focused on business and helping you? And I think so many people, um, and I'm one of them. I refer to myself as an accidental consultant. I was laid off as an executive in 2020, like so many other people, and I could not get hired to save my life. Nobody was hiring a marketing executive or chief marketing officer during 2020 after all of that. And it was devastating. I didn't know what to do with myself to not find work. And which is why finding the lives was so beneficial for me. But getting into the consulting space quite accidentally, um, and then trying to build a business backwards, that's not a normal strategy. And so it's like, hey, I never considered all these things because I was just trying to to get some work and have some income. There's a lot of people that are going through that, and you would be shocked at how many people are so happy to say, hey, I I made huge mistakes with my taxes. I didn't consider this before I did things. Here's what I recommend you do. Um, I mean, you'd be surprised. I think people have gotten into a place where they're more comfortable being vulnerable because they see it in so many other people, because everybody's going through something, period. And the job market specifically, because it's not great, and we all know it's not great. We know people are struggling. Um, but use this platform in that way to reach out and connect and help you figure it out, even if you don't know what to do. I know people, and I've been one of them. I can't even get a lower level job because people are like, you're overqualified, you're gonna get bored, like all the things. And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure I won't get bored with a paycheck. But in the interim, you need to figure out, what can I do to protect myself and take care of me if I can't get hired by another corporate um, organization. Start doing something, collaborate with people, and build your own business. You'd be surprised at how many people I do get to see and that I do know that are like, I never imagined in a million years that I would be having this business, and I love it. It's like it was a gift to be laid off. And I know a lot of us don't feel that way, thinking it's not a gift because I'm still not working. Um, but collaboration, it can open your eyes to opportunities that you never thought. I mean, that's my opinion, because I just think, why close a door to an opportunity when you're just having conversation with people, and do a little investing in yourself. Nobody's saying go spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a course that you can't afford. Collaboration groups to get in, a lot of them are not that expensive. And it's worth a try. Like, why not just give it a whirl? Because you'll be surprised. That's just my opinion.
No, it's not just an opinion, it's a fact and a truth. And I know you've said before, when people tell you who they are, believe them, right? When people
Oh
tell you who you are, don't bother with them, because as things change, sometimes the change isn't always in your favor. So
that's
I
right.
know there's all kinds of ageism and all kinds of isms. And if you're fighting to get into a door that no one wants to let you in,
Mhm.
don't bother with that door. Hire yourself. If
Keep
someone says, I'm just wonderful and valuable and great, put it to work for yourself, not
Yes.
for someone who doesn't want you. And, if you find the right situation and they find you, well, all you did was sharpen your axe in order to go out there and be a better person, a better worker. But there is so much to independence, to liberation, to
Yeah.
waking up and say, if it's going to be, it's up to me and I can do it because I'm not waiting for permission. I'm not waiting for someone to say, okay, now you get a promotion. I mean, those games are over. You know, the people who think I'll get a job at Ford Motor and 30 years from now, I'll get my gold watch, those are fantasies now. Even if you got a job after fighting for it, how long is that job going to last? How long? I mean, it's an international market. How do you compete with people who can work on $10 a day,
Yeah.
right? And you can't.
Whole
So
nother
I think the key is turn the page. You know, I always say you can go back to yesterday, tomorrow. If your new way of doing things today doesn't pan out, you're not burning any bridges. If anything, you're building new bridges,
Yeah.
fresh bridges to your point of association. The reason why people mostly grow apart is they don't grow equally. Some people think they know it all. Some people say, well, I don't need to go to a course. I don't need to read a book. You know, I don't need to do any of that. No, you don't need to. But if I do need to, at a certain point, our commonness goes away. And now all of a sudden you get into, well, you're spending too much time with that person. You're spending too much time in that area. You're spending too little, and that only exasperates it. So the other thing is you don't have to be exclusive or absolute. You can be in 7 different groups. I mean,
Yes.
there's people who are in book groups together, exercise together, vacation together. And I think diversity and variety is the spice of life, to expose yourself to things that you're not or haven't been comfortable in the past. But until you've walked in somebody else's shoes, do you
Mhm.
know what it is? Until you take the time to get to know somebody, will you? And I think it really does come down to time.
Yeah.
If you're not getting what you want, how are you investing it? And why are you investing it? If you could keep putting money in a slot machine and nothing comes out, are you going to think, hey, this is a wonderful investment? I can't wait to find some more money or
Some
ring up.
people do that though. They'll be like, "Now I just need to keep playing because it's gonna hit," and they just keep doing it, and they get sucked into that whole thing, and it's like, "No, no." They found a sucker, and they know that you're gonna sit here and empty your pockets. Like, move on. Like, that is a great example for, life stuff. Hey, if it's not panning out, if it's not fulfilling you in a way personally, emotionally, financially, it's not for you. I mean, that should be what you look for in things. And I love that you said multiple collaboration groups. I love having more than one collaboration group simply because you can take other ideas to the other collaboration groups because different people think differently when you throw things out. It'll go in a totally different direction that you never planned. And it keeps you open-minded. I mean, and that's why I do it. I'm a learning junkie. Um, and then another little sidebar, one of the things that I did a lot of during 2020 is I took a ton of courses because I needed to do something to fill my time where I wasn't losing my mind and something positive, but also that was pertinent to my career growth. I usually stayed up to date on a lot of things, but it just definitely gave me time. Um, and the other thing I wanted to be sure that I exemplified on that is, multiple revenue streams are another thing to focus on.
Mhm.
I did that's one thing for me that honest to goodness came out of 2020 and beyond. Is I'm like, I don't want to be the prisoner to one paycheck coming and counting on that to always be there because it was proven that it won't always be there. So it's just kind of like, I'm diversifying my portfolio and different revenue streams because likely if one goes away, at least there's some other ones coming in while you work on another. Um, but it's a lot of work and a lot of heavy lifting, which is why collaboration is everything because you'll learn from everyone to know what their struggles were and what they recommend again to speed up the process. Like for me, that's everything. Like it helped me work through all the kinks and save me all the time that yes, I could spend the hours on YouTube watching hours and hours and hours of videos. But if you could speed me up and give me the Cliff Notes or the Reader's Digest version, that'd be fantastic, right? Like, why wouldn't you?
Well, for sure. And, a lot of times what it lends itself to is forcing something that's not ready yet. If something takes 50 minutes in the oven, no matter how much you want to pull it out in 20, it doesn't matter because it's got its natural rhythm to it. It's got the natural process. But if you had other things to invest that 30 minutes into while you're waiting, that we're encouraging. And, education, it should be a never ending thing. When you leave school, whether it's high school or college, they always have commencement exercises. And commencement means the beginning, not the end of school. This is when you got to start self-educating, where you start having books that you read, and people that you meet. And the things you learn now you can apply, and you can continue to build your value up, build your confidence up, in a good book, and allows you to take that to the next person. Because if I listen to an hour of Audible and it's a quality speaker or book, I just become more of that as soon as I hit the air, right? If I was doing dumb stuff, I'd be replicating dumb stuff in everything else I was doing. But we've got some more comments. Beatrice says, so grateful I found a safe place. It only took 1,000 years. Well, the main thing is you got here. And that's what's important. How long it took, what you had to go through, you got here. Linda says you're right on. For a group to work together with from all over the world is amazing. Never thought I would ever find it. This small town country girl and I worked many jobs on this journey of life: office, recreation, factory, but finding a bonus of fantastic people to interact with on Zooms or in person, changing my body and life forward to be more even at 73. Age is a matter of how you think, not how old you are. I know there's 25-year-old kids out there who are already old. They're already dated, right? In their way. And, I saw today there was a doctor who supposedly is the oldest doctor practicing. He's 103, right? And
I'm not sure I'd want him working on
well,
me.
maybe if they were just giving you vitamins or something, or maybe it's just somebody who you want to be around just because of how long they've been around. But
He has secrets on longevity. So yes, I would definitely want conversation. I would want to collaborate with him for sure.
well, at least he's there. And why do people grow old fast and don't live very long? They don't have purpose. They don't have a future in their mind. Their best is behind them. And because of that thinking, they fit into that self-fulfilling prophecy. Dennis says, agree, figure things out and start your own business. I did start my business 49 years ago, and I still love what I'm doing, helping our clients and our environment. Dennis is about savingheat.com. I met his son one day, and I know how valuable Dennis is, not only to his business, but his family, his community, our community. And if you've got a reason to wake up, there's been so many examples of people who only gave 6 months to live, but their daughter was getting married in 12 months. They lived 12 months, right?
Mhm.
Because they didn't want to say goodbye until they had their last hurrah, a new grandchild was born, things like that. And if you have hope, you do have opportunity. If you believe it, that's what they say faith is, the belief in the invisible. When you can believe things you can't see or touch, but know, that's something. And there's so many opportunities. I mean, it's not like, where is it? It's like, there's so many organizations and people who are suffering. They should seek support. They should seek counseling, and they could find it in just a group that gets together for whatever, dancing or whatever. Dennis comes back with, agree, good to be helped through the kinks with the proper links. Thanks. And I know Dennis will probably be in this 20 more years because he'll never grow old, because he's relevant and he's getting more relevant with relevant people.
And
And
he's sharp as a
everybody,
tack. I mean, let's just be
well,
honest.
and I think, it's the giving that gets the getting, like we talked about. So I know we're top of the hour. It goes so quick. I think whenever there's so much love, real
Mhm.
appreciation for each other, and sincere appreciation. There's so many rah-rah people out there who are just, and we've talked about, I'm not going to go any further into, but why? Why not be sincere? Why not be who you are? You should be proud of yourself. And if you're not, there's opportunities for change in there, and there would be a hope down the road. So, Kelly, what's your final thoughts for this beautiful audience?
I mean, just thanks for being here. This was a wonderful collaboration. And again, I will go back because I think that's just the way that I'm going to describe collaboration now. It's life. It is this thing called life. And then what do we need in our life? Because it's all different. Every single one of us who are here right now needs something different. But how can others help you achieve where you need to go? But if it's in business, something on LinkedIn, get involved in a collaboration group. And guess what? In your personal life, if you want to talk with a group that's on mental health, they're out there too. So it doesn't matter what you're into. If it's gardening, I mean, I could go on and on. So there is something there to be a part of. Reach out, make use of this amazing platform of 1 billion people that I believe all social media has two sides. There's the side of good and certainly the side of evil, and we all know that. But if you're in it to do something good for yourself, you will find it. So put it out there. And as I will end, because we talked about it earlier, is please do go out and shine so bright that others can't help but shine too. The world needs you.
Well, you sure make me and everybody here shine bright just from your wonderful presence. And I'll end with Linda, who said, "You will like this, Don. My great granddaughter told me I was too old to say or use LOL."
What? I would use it all the time now if I was you.
Well, the nice thing is we can joke about these things, and there is nothing like interaction. There's nothing like sharing, especially with family and promoting. And one last thing, I had a gentleman on last Friday, Kevin Ayers, who's a friend of Harvey's. He's into franchising and he's in England. And he said, I think you should consider my daughter for a show. And I said, well, okay. And her name's Imogen, and she's only 18. She's had 100 podcasts already. She just did a post on LinkedIn, which was titled "Why I'm Not Going to Be a Doctor Anymore." Got 90,000 views, and I had the pleasure of talking to her yesterday, and she's coming on next Tuesday with Beverly. So
Love
whether
that.
you're 18 or 98, it doesn't matter.
Rating.
And I think that's what people want to see is a spectrum. They want to see not just one person. They want to see people representing people. So it's so quality in every way. So, if we had another hour, which we don't, I would use that and we never stop talking, but we got next Thursday again. So come back for Kelly, because I can't wait for every Thursday with Kelly. So with that said, go out, make yourself the best you can. By the way, I'm starting to take Fridays off, so this is the end of my week.
Good for you.
Well, I found out that it's all about capacity, what you need, and working with what you have, not just doing more, but focusing on doing better. So thank you, Linda. Thank you, Beatrice, for your final wonderful emojis. And we'll talk again.